Top trade officials from China and the U.S. have held talks about the two countries' trade and economic ties twice over the past week. Chinese Vice Premier Liu He first spoke with the U.S. Trade Representative Catherine Tai, then with Secretary of the Treasury Janet Yellen. The Chinese Commerce Ministry says the talks show normal communication with the United States has returned, at least on the issue of trade. But in order to begin negotiations on a Phase 2 trade agreement and really get trade relations back to normal, a leading expert in China says resolving the issue of tariffs is key.
因为中美贸易战的焦点就是关税。
The focus of the two countries' trade war is tariffs. The U.S. initiated the trade dispute by imposing punishing tariffs on Chinese goods, citing results from Section 301 investigations. Then Beijing retaliated in kind, as it believed America's actions were against the laws and regulations of the World Trade Organization. The foundations of bilateral trade ties have been damaged, so resolving the tariff issue is a precondition for the two countries' trade relations getting back to normal.
The U.S.-China trade war started in March 2018. After 13 rounds of negotiations, the two countries finally sealed a Phase 1 agreement in January 2020, but the issue of tariffs remain unresolved. Those imposed by the U.S. on Chinese goods averaged about 4% in 2017, but have increased to nearly 20% since. The Chinese tariffs on American goods stand at about the same rate. Tu Xingquan says the U.S. tariffs on China have failed to resolve the trade deficit. He says America's deficit with China in 2020 declined by about 10% from a year ago, but its trade deficit to other countries increased by 15%. Rather than resolving the underlying structural issues, he says the trade war has simply benefited other countries at the expense of China. And he says America's tariffs on China have backfired, hurting its own companies, consumers, and jobs.
America's assumption by imposing tariffs on China is that Washington believes that as the largest market in the world, the U.S. has the biggest say in the market, including the setting of prices. The U.S. believed the cost of adding tariffs would be transferred to Chinese exporters, but actually the interdependence between the two countries is complex, and from what we've seen, it's actually American importers who are relying more on Chinese exports than Chinese exporters on American imports.
A report from Moody Analytica backs up Tu's analysis. It says American companies shouldered 90% of the extra costs caused by the tariffs imposed by the U.S. on Chinese exports. A report from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce shows the tariffs have made China-made parts more expensive, pushing up costs in industries such as aviation, semiconductors, and medical treatment. And the evidence suggests these costs are being transferred onto American consumers. A joint report released by the U.S.-China Business Council and Oxford Economics says the tariffs have cost American families $675 on average, and 245,000 less jobs for the country as a whole. Tu adds that if the tariff issue remains unresolved, it will further hurt America's economic recovery following the COVID-19 pandemic. Wang Hui, CGTN, Beijing.